My thesis statement is increased accessibility to higher education by means of free tuition is not practical and poses a threat to the quality of education students receive. I first selected and tried out multiple different databases until I landed on the Professional Development Collection. And I chose to do this one because in the description, it said that there were current topics in the field of education, specifically in this database. And I felt as though free tuition is a current topic in the field of education. And so I hoped that they would have more articles, considering that was the focus of this database. As you can see, the first limit I put in was a publication date, start year, and end year, which was 2000 to 2024. And then I selected a document type, which was an article, as I knew an article was what I needed for this assignment. And I didn't want to have to look through so many different types of documents that were not going to be relevant to this article, to this assignment. By the time I was recording this, I already knew where to find the article, what page it was on, and what part of the page it was on. And I actually chose this article over others after reading a lot of them, because in the title it states, "A challenge for states and community colleges, free tuition is a complicated but necessary progression of education in America." And I also agree with that statement. I think that some type of free tuition other than scholarship should be offered to students at certain colleges, and I didn't see other articles offering that perspective. In my opinion, a time frame for what I would consider a current source for this topic is anything from the year 2000 and up until the current date, 2024. This article says it was published in the summer of 2016, so I would consider it to be have a good currency for the topic of whether or not higher education should be free. The author of this article is Carol Patton, and if I scroll down to the bottom, it says here, Carol Patton is an award-winning journalist in Las Vegas who covers education and other topics for many publications and websites. So I wouldn't necessarily consider her an expert on the topic, but I do believe she is a credible author. I also performed just a little extra research and did a quick Google search on her name, and her LinkedIn popped up. And in her LinkedIn, she lists the areas she covers, the second one as education, and also says she has written more than 2,000 articles that have been published on or in more than 50 websites, newspapers, and consumer and trade magazines. So while I wouldn't consider her to be an expert on this topic, I do believe she is credible. Let's see, refresh. As for references, on the third page, under key components by state, it says that she got the source is the National Conference of State Legislatures. And upon a little bit further research, I decided that I think this source is a popular article or a popular source or reference, while it is an organization, and it says on their website that they do provide fact and evidence-based nonpartisan research, technical assistance, skills, trainings, and other resources. I would still consider it to be popular because it is an organization, and at the end of the day, we can't for sure say that there's no bias throughout this website or organization, whether it be there or underlying. I think it would be different if it was a .gov page or a university page. Also, this website or this article was published in the Journal of College Admissions. So I did a little bit more research on that as well, and I think that it adds to the credibility of the article. I don't know if it would necessarily be considered a reference because it's what the article was written in, but I did research that a little bit further and found out that they release new publications every 6 months, which would also explain why there's not an exact date, and it more says summer 16 to the publication date. I personally think that this article had both elements of objectivity and bias. I think that the bias is actually that free higher education is necessary. You can see it in the title. It says free tuition is a complicated but necessary progression of education in America. And I would believe that there is an underlying bias, as it states in the title. They believe it is a necessary thing, whereas on the contrary, other people might have the opposite bias and think that it's completely unnecessary. I also would put the objectivity in there because they do, Carol Patton does have a lot of just numbers and research and data in there, and so like right here there's some that I think is just objective. My search was downsides of free tuition, just use natural language, and I chose to search it up in YouTube. The video that I chose was this third one, is free college as good as it sounds. It's a KQED production, and so it's a PBS production as well. And so when I saw PBS, I was drawn to it because I know that they're a news source, so they are often seen as more credible than other sources. I also just really I watched a few seconds of a couple different videos and really enjoyed this one more than the other ones, and felt that it related to my topic more so than the other ones, as it brought up and highlighted downsides of free college. Time frame for the videos was the same as my time frame for the article. From 2000 to 2024 is what I feel is a good range of time that I consider to be current. This video was released 5 years ago, and so I feel like it is a good time frame. The channel is Above the Noise, which actually is a KQED PBS channel, and you can see that in here it is narrated by Miles Bess, and I looked him up, and he is a broadcast media specialist, so he is just the one relaying the information. PBS is a news source associated, or KQED is a news source associated with PBS, so I would consider it to be a credible source, and they have a lot of researchers and journalists working on this. There were a lot of references throughout this video. I'm only going to touch on a couple of them, but there were both popular and scholarly references in this video. The Economic Policy Institute is an example of a popular reference, and in this scenario, they were just showing the research that said college grads earn 56% more than high school grads. Another example of popular reference is the coverage of the Democratic debate from PBS NewsHour in 2016. Moving on to a scholarly reference, this is from the College Board. It is comparing the average cost of college tuition for 1 year from 2017 to 1987. And one more popular article is Forbes. This is showing the percentage of dropouts at a 2-year public college, the rate of dropouts. I think there's an overall bias in this video, as they are only highlighting the downsides of free college and